Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Marin. I'm a Christian wife, mama, and homemaker who lives in the beautiful state of Michigan. While you're here, if you enjoy the video, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not already for more sourdough content like this. Today I want to take you through a month in the life of my sourdough starter. Now that might seem like a bit of an odd topic to make a video on. However, I found videos like this super helpful when I started out in my own sourdough making journey. So I wanted to add to the online community and make one for you guys. If you're just starting to make sourdough bread or you're contemplating starting, then you know that sourdough is a living thing. In fact, hold on. Sorry, just thought I should grab my starter. In fact, this sourdough starter is kind of like having another kid. You have to feed it, and you have to play with it and try new things because it's just too much fun. All the recipes that I made required a fed and bubbling sourdough starter, also known as a ripe sourdough starter. So when I pull my starter out of the fridge, I generally tend to leave about half a cup of starter in there. I add half a cup of water and then half a cup of whole wheat flour. I mix it all together and then I set it on the counter with a paper towel over the top of it, and I just kind of hold it on with one of the screw lids, and I let it sit for about 4 to 12 hours, just depending upon the warmth of the day. And when it's all bubbly, I know it's ready to use. Some recipes you can use what's called sourdough discard, which is this, the not bubbly stuff that you need to feed. If you see it separate and there's a liquid on top, that's called the hooch, and that means that it is hungry. So those are just some sourdough basics, but let me know in the comments if you want me to make some more in-depth tutorials on how to get started using or even making your own sourdough starter. It's not that big of a deal once you get a rhythm and a routine down, although it can feel like a bit of a hurdle in the beginning, but it's totally worth it. Push through that and you'll be so glad you started. There are recipes linked down below for every recipe I'm using today. These are all tried and true, things we've made before, and they're all very delicious. So here is a month of how I use the sourdough starter. I wrote down all that I made out of my sourdough starter from March 11th to today. So on March 11th, we were at my mom's house seeing a cousin that's in town from college, and I made sourdough biscuits. We've made these biscuits so many times before, especially during the winter. I find they tend to turn out better during the colder months. Like I said, sourdough is a living thing. It does better or worse depending upon the humidity, the temperature, a whole bunch of factors. This recipe was from the blog Farmhouse on Boone. I love Lisa's sourdough recipes. They are so yummy. I did tweak the recipe a bit and I added some whole wheat flour because it adds a depth of flavor that I find normal all-purpose flour just doesn't bring. The next week, on Friday, March 17th, which was St. Patrick's Day, I made bread. Now this bread is another Farmhouse on Boone recipe. It's a sandwich bread. I find my husband likes it the best. We used to make more of an artisanal, however you say that, bread, and it was really delicious, but it was a lot more work, and if the hubby likes the sandwich bread better, then that's what I'm gonna make. We make this bread pretty much every week. Like, this is our staple, and actually I'm about to bake some more off today. The next time I used my sourdough starter was the next week, Friday, March 24th. That was a huge kitchen day and the day my husband started building our chicken coop. We baked off another round of bread, same type that we made the week before, and we made pizza. So I used the sourdough pizza crust recipe from King Arthur Flour, and that is linked down below. If you want to see what all happened that day, because it was a bit crazy, there's a video linked up above. The next week, we made something new that my mom said we had to try, and you have to now try it too. If you thought cinnamon rolls were good, these are 1,000 times better. Farmhouse on Boone recently came out with a double chocolate roll recipe. It is phenomenal. It is not that bad for you, depending upon how you make it. I mean, chocolatey, gooey deliciousness. It's decadence. And it's made out of sourdough, so it's healthy for you. You're welcome. Yeah, recipe linked below. You have to make this if you have a sourdough starter. I literally have to stop myself from going and making it every week. It's that good. The next week, it looks like we really didn't make anything. There are weeks like that. I leave my sourdough starter in the fridge throughout the week. I tend to use it and feed it once a week. Other people leave it on the countertop and then you have to feed it every day. But because there's only the 2 of us adults, it doesn't really make sense for us to be using it every single day. When we have a bunch of kids, Lord willing, might be a different story. Now, I wouldn't recommend leaving it in the fridge unfed for more than a week and a half because it can get a little iffy then. Then today we're making sandwich bread once again, and I've noticed that with this bread you should use a combination of unbleached all-purpose flour and whole wheat flour for the best results. Don't use all whole wheat or else it really turns out very dry. Seems like whole wheat flour sucks a lot of moisture out of whatever you're making. Thank you so much for watching a month in the life of my sourdough starter. I hope this was helpful to you and that you'll give sourdough a try. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll talk to you next week. Bye!